We can be ready.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Today is Wednesday, October 4th, 2023. We are here for the Orange Township Board of Trustees regular meeting. Ms. Kraft, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Faust.
Here.
Ms. Knapp. Mr. Ringel.
Here.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to move our public comment till after Auditor Keister's conversation, just in case anybody has questions. So this is October, which is National Hindu Heritage Month. So we have been asked to read a proclamation that the governor signed, so I'm going to read that. In the name and the authority of the state of Ohio, whereas Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world with more than 1 billion followers worldwide and 4 million in the United States, and whereas the culture, history, traditions, achievements, and contributions of Hindus are recognized and celebrated throughout the United States throughout the month of October, and whereas Ohio's vibrant American Hindu community has contributed tremendously to the vitality of the state and enriched the lives of its citizens, and whereas American Hindus have made numerous positive contributions in all aspects of society, from science to business to politics to spirituality, and whereas Hindus strive to achieve Dharma, which is a code of living that emphasizes good conduct and morality, and whereas during October, the American Hindu community will collectively celebrate its heritage by focusing on its culture and the diverse spiritual traditions rooted in India. And now, therefore, we, Mike DeWine and John Husted, Governor and Lieutenant Governor of the state of Ohio, do hereby recognize October 2023 as Hindu Heritage Month.
All right, and the board acknowledges that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Auditor Keister, you have a presentation for us.
Well, thank you very much, Trustee House. I'm going to maybe move this up here. Can everyone? Yeah, you can all hear me. Well, thank you for the invitation to have me come and speak before you today to help all of the property owners and homeowners in Orange Township know how the reappraisal works and some of the questions that they may have. So what I thought I'd do is I'd do a quick overview of the process and then take questions, because I think that might be helpful if there are specific questions that anybody has. A couple of things. So we are starting our informal hearings. Actually, they've already started. We're doing them the entire month of October. And at the table there's this paper that gives you the locations where we're going to have in-person hearings, as well as we will have in-person hearings in the county building as well. Those will be scheduled. We also have Sign Up Genius, and you can just scan that QR code, and that'll take you right to the page so that you can schedule your own appointment. All of the informal hearings at the county building will be by appointment only. The hearings at the various off-site locations in Sunbury, Powell, and Genoa Township will be first come, first served. This will be an opportunity for any homeowners to present information that we should consider in terms of the way their properties are valued. So if, again, we only look at the exterior of the building. We do not have access to the interior. So if there are things we need to know to take into consideration, then that's the time to bring that information forward. For example, if you have interior pictures, or if you have a recent bank appraisal, anything like that that would help us make sure that we're valuing the property correctly. The other thing that I put on the table out there is this little facts and fiction pamphlet, which kind of talks about the entire reappraisal process and how it works. So overall, countywide, Delaware County is going up by about 35% increase in property values. The point that I want to stress to everyone is that that does not mean that taxes go up by 35%. There's some misinformation out there, so that's the first point that I want to make. And again, I want to stress that the auditor's office is really the official source of information related to the reappraisal. So you'll probably want to know, well, okay, so values are going up by 35%. How much my tax is going to go up? Roughly, and again, it depends on which school district you're in. But fortunately, you're in the Olentangy Local School District, which is not at the 20 mil floor. So that means that your taxes will go up roughly by about 4% from where they are right now. Now, I was speaking with Lisa earlier. I know that there's going to be a levy on the ballot for fire services. And again, I just want to emphasize what a great value that is, because if you go to the website, there's a tab that's called tax distribution. And if you click on that, you can see exactly where all of your tax dollars go. And I don't have the figures in front of me for Orange Township for what fire services cost, but I think it's probably on average maybe somewhere around $500 or $600, which when you compare it to your homeowner's insurance, that's a tremendous value for what you get in terms of having both fire service as well as emergency services, in the event of any type of life-threatening emergency. Some more good news for Orange Township. Orange Township receives about 2.1 mils in inside millage. That also means it's unvoted millage. But that means that the township will receive a little over $1 million, about $1,042,000 is our current estimate, based on the values that we have. The other thing that I want to stress is the county commissioners again decided to roll back the inside millage that the county gets. So that 1.3 mils will be continued for this next tax year. That's a $0.5 mil reduction. We'd love to do more at the county level, but we work with so little millage that we just don't have the ability to make large decreases. But it does represent about a $6 million reduction in terms of tax burden. And if you look, you'll see on the inside panel, it shows that the county's general fund only gets about 1.7% of all property taxes. The other question is, well, is Delaware County really, because it's a wealthy county, are our values higher than the value increases higher than increases in other counties? And actually, we end up being right about in the middle of the pack with the 35% increase. Franklin County is at 41%. Knox County is at 40%. Morrow County is at 39%. The highest county in the state that's going through a reappraisal is 43%. That's in Claremont County, and the lowest county is Athens County. That's at 20% increase. So again, just some benchmark information. One other question that a lot of times comes up is that, well, the county auditor can decide when and how to conduct a reappraisal, and that's not true. That's a myth. It's all of that is prescribed in the Ohio Revised Code and in the Ohio Administrative Code. So I have to follow exactly what the law says. I get a letter from the tax commissioner that orders me to conduct a reappraisal, and that reappraisal needs to be started within 60 days of receipt of that letter. So there's really no discretion there. Everything is is defined in either the revised code or the Ohio Administrative Code, and that includes how we conduct reappraisals. In fact, there are specific sections within the Ohio Administrative Code that reference how you value land and how you value improvements to the land, meaning a home, outbuildings, anything like that, or industrial or commercial buildings. Secondly, or another myth is that I, as county auditor, try to increase values so that we can collect more taxes. And again, that's a myth. We don't do that. Our responsibility under the code is to value properties fairly based on arm's length sales, which are sales between a willing buyer and a willing seller. So it's really, and again, this is another point I need to stress, and that is that it's the voters that really decide what taxes are going to be in terms of what happens. The other thing that's important to remember is something that's called a reduction factor. Back in 1972, and it's discussed in on the back panel here, but there was also a period when real estate values were increasing. And so the legislature passed legislation that basically adjusted the tax rate so that it would offset any increase in values. So if values went up by, let's say, 15, 20, 25%, then the tax rate would be reduced by the same percentage. And that's called the tax reduction factor. Now that applies just to voted levies. It does not apply to inside millage, and it does not apply to certain other levies like emergency levies for school districts or bond levies. Those are separate. But generally speaking, it was intended to decouple property values from taxes. Then in 1977, there was a concern about school districts being affected by the increasing inflation, and so the 20 mil floor was adopted, and that was to protect school districts against increases, against inflationary increases. And the distinction there is that we have three school districts in Delaware County that are at the 20 mil floor. They are Buckeye Valley, Big Walnut, and Delaware City. And if the school district is at the 20 mil floor, the tax reduction factor cannot reduce the taxes that the tax rates that the school district receive below 20 mils. So what that means in those three districts, there are going to be tax increases that are more than the 4% that I mentioned earlier for Orange Township. In fact, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 16% increases in taxes for those school districts. And that's again assuming there are no levies on the ballot. One other thing to note is if any of the homeowners have had improvements added to their property, like they've added a deck, or they've added a pool, or they have added some kind of addition, that is not in the current value that is on the auditor's website. So that will be added for at the end of the year for 2020 or 2020 tax year 2023 to be collected in 2024. I always have to remember that taxes are in arrears. So anyway, the thing to note though is that any levy that is on the ballot will be based on the values that are on the books right now. So they will not be based on the new values, the 2023 values. So where did Orange Township come in? Well, Orange Township came in right about where the county average is, 33.7%. The total assessed valuation for Orange Township will be just under $500 million, $496 million. And the market value of that, of all those properties, is about $1.4 billion. So now again, the key point is taxes are not based on market value, they're based on assessed or taxable value, and that's defined as 35% of the market value. Just for interest's sake, the highest increase in the county was, there are actually two small taxing districts. Concord, Dublin, Shawnee Hills had the highest increase of about 58.7%, and Liberty Township, Delaware Corporal, and Tangi Schools had the lowest with 6.1%. And those are both small districts. One is Kessel Station, I think, just south of the city of Delaware off of Liberty Road. And then, of course, in Shawnee Hills, that's the other area. So just for sake of comparison to what has happened to the sale prices, in 2022, the average sale price was $501,300. The average sales price for 2023 is $527,800. And we had about 5,800 residential sales during this reappraisal period. So that's kind of a broad overview. I'm happy to answer any questions from you as trustees or from any members of the audience. And again, thank you for inviting me to speak.
Yeah, thank you, George. One quick question. How close is Olentangy to the 20 mil floor? Like, it doesn't affect us now, but as they do additional levies.
They're not that close. I don't have the figures with me, but I can provide those to you. The big difference is the larger school districts have numerous levies. I think Olentangy has somewhere around 16 different levies. So it's going to, each reduction factor is not going to get them very close to 20 mils because of all.
So they reduce each individual levy.
Yeah. Okay. And that's an important point. I think everyone needs to know that really 75% of your taxes go to the schools.
Correct.
And schools are a driving factor in terms of preserving property values. Right. And the other positive point is that rising property values add equity to the property. So, so there are positive points to remember.
And then the other question I had, so you mentioned if you added an addition, so like in the last 3 years is basically what you're saying. If you did an exterior addition in the last 3 years.
No, it's just the last year. The other additions are factored in.
That's already factored in.
But it's just, we base values as of what is in the ground on January 1 of each tax year.
Do you do appraisals every year? Do you guys go out every year?
We do go out every year. We get notifications from either the zoning departments or from the county's zoning department of any building permits that have been received, and then we'll look at that. We'll see how much construction is, if it's just a foundation that's in the ground, or anything, or more than that.
So it's just every 3 years that you go to everybody.
Exactly.
Okay.
That we do, and we have what's called a sexennial reappraisal, which is what we're in this year, where we actually view the properties. We did one pass using technology, and then we actually have a physical review of properties. And then on the 3-year cycle, we do basically what I call a desk audit, which is where we just look at sales in the area, and based on those sales, then we establish value increases. Again, the two driving factors for property values are sales in the tax district and grade and condition. Those two things drive. And we've also had a unique situation, going back to your economics 101 class, it's supply and demand. And with the change in to remote working, with a limited supply, with low interest rates, the demand is there, but the supply is not, and the result is higher prices.
Okay.
And then you also reappraise when somebody sells a house, correct?
We do not. That's called chasing sales.
Okay, you guys don't do that?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah, that will factor in with the next cycle. And the reason we can't do that is because if we adjust it, then we don't get a measure of how much of a difference there was between the auditor's value and the appraised value or the market value. So yeah, Department of Taxation would not be happy with us if we did that. It is actually, it's a very good question, because I've always kind of considered, well, maybe we should be able to put both, values in and track the one for appraisal purposes, but then, have the actual sale price there. It is listed on the website. It'll show what the transfer price was of any property. So
I'd like to first thank Auditor Kaitza for his proactiveness in communicating this information to residents every step along the way, and also for breaking down very complex topic into understandable terms. So thank you for that and for speaking today.
well, thank you very much, Trustee Ringo.
I just wanted to ask one follow-up question and then reiterate a point you made. The follow-up question is on your sheet that shows in the walk-in locations, there's also a way for residents to submit an appeal electronically through your website, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Right. Yeah. And they can also submit information through that same portal. And I guess, yeah, that I neglected to mention that. So currently, like I say, I don't think I mentioned it, letters with the values will be going out either tomorrow or Friday, but the values are available right now on our website. There's only one thing you need to be aware of, and that is to go to the county homepage. And on the county homepage, there's a banner at the top of the county homepage, and if you click on that, that'll take it right to the page that has the values. And on that, you have an acknowledgement, because we found out that some people were trying to use the new value to calculate what their taxes were going to be for next year. And of course, they were panicked. But that's because the values, the tax rates that are on our estimator right now have not had the tax reduction factor applied. So there's an acknowledgement that says, I understand that this number can't be used, and if you have to click that before you can get to your value. Yeah.
Okay, so because I did that when we got the email from you the other day. So
Pardon me?
what I followed that, went
Yeah,
to this page
yeah.
when you sent us the email. So what's currently shown there is not necessarily, it's not what our taxes will be.
That's correct.
Just
yeah.
reiterating what
Yes,
you just said.
yeah.
Okay.
And that was the thing, and that's what we added, that acknowledgement. And if you try and use it without clicking that, I tested it just to make sure it worked, but it will say you need to click the acknowledgement first.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So
Yeah, because that was a
So it's really the
concern.
letter that's going to tell us. The letter that comes in the mail is what's going to tell us what our actual tax
Yes,
will be.
well, they will tell you what the current value is and what the tentative new value is. And then we'll go through our informal hearings, and then we'll decide in final values. And those will need to be approved by the Department of Taxation. And then based on that, then the tax rates will be calculated.
But if you're not contesting the
Yeah.
value that you've sent, then it should be
It would be the
pretty
same,
close. It would be the
yes.
same. Okay. So wait for the letter is what I'm hearing.
Pardon me?
Wait for the letter to know your tax value.
Well, no,
It
what's
shows you
up there?
the increase, like if you go on here.
Right.
It'll show you the increase, it's just additive to what you're paying now.
I mean,
As an
could-
estimate.
The tax increase is additive, but the value is what there we go. Let's just, or if you put your name or put my name.
You can use
in,
Ringo if you want.
It's a lot of crap.
you can see, it shows you what the current value, you have.
Well, just
several
any of those, right? It shows
names.
you what your
If you use my name, it's easier, because I think there's only one kite say.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
here's our fiscal officers.
Yeah, but so you will see both your current value and the proposed new value. And unless you contest that value, that's going to be the official value.
Okay.
And then, just as Fiscal Officer Kraft mentioned, the tax amount is additive. So it's
what
the
we are
amount
already
that we expect values or taxes to increase based on that tentative value.
Okay.
One other point to reiterate what Auditor Kaitza said, and thank you, Fiscal Officer Kraft, for being willing to pay your fair share of Orange Township taxes. the additional fire levy that will be on the ballot in November for Orange Township is based on our current values and not based on these new values that are going into place. So this 2 additional mills will not create any additional windfall for the fire department. It's just to meet the projected needs for the fire department's funding in the next 3 years.
That's correct. And in addition, it will be subject to the tax reduction factor. So,
Immediately,
yeah.
yeah. Yep. No, that's a great tool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
no, I'm glad. Yeah, I talked with my staff about, the concerns that people are going to have with hearing that, property values are going up 35% and their taxes are going to go up by 35%. And so we've got to put that out there to just sort of give people an idea of what the impact will be.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
And I can share the meeting information
That's what I was
on our.
wondering. We could do
our
that.
meeting
And then
Yes.
can we also do we have an electronic version of this that we can share?
We have posted that before.
We
Okay.
do, and what
Okay.
I'll do, I will also, I've updated
Okay.
that facts and fiction, and I'll send you the updated.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I think one of the things that on the first version I neglected to put on there was that these values will be used to calculate the taxes for 2024. I mean, the taxes that are payable in
Correct.
2024.
So your escrow may be short.
So,
So hopefully you can plan ahead knowing what the number is, so.
but
Okay.
yeah, so we added that in there so everybody would know, yes, those
Yeah.
values will be how your taxes are calculated.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
this
much
is very
for
helpful,
coming out.
George. Thank you so much for your
Right.
time.
My pleasure to be here.
Okay, we will go to public comment. Specifically first, does anybody have any auditor questions in case Auditor Keitzen needs to head out? Okay, great. So George, you feel free to stay or carry on about your business. Whatever works best for you. Okay, do we have any other public
Thank
comment?
you again for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you, George. So please state your name and address for the record.
Don Smith, 3358 Foxcroft.
And Annie Mowry, 3283 Foxcroft Drive.
So we are part of the Waverly Place HOA. I've been talking with Michelle actually just recently, but mostly with Silas as well. I've been part of the HOA since I think May or June, but this is conversation goes back probably about a year now.
2 years.
2 years. So over the past 8 years, our neighborhood has gone through an extreme change. I'd say about 50% of the houses have been turned over. We've gone from a ton of kids to no kids and back to a ton again. And our neighborhood is not new. It's built in 93. No sidewalks. You know that. And I actually pulled together some information for you, if you may.
Yeah, sure.
Am I allowed to do this?
You may approach the bench.
So, the second page is what I really want to talk about first.
Thank you.
I pulled together a map that shows.
Could you give one to our engineer's office right there, please? Thank you. Oh, in the back.
Behind him
Yep.
is Delaware County Engineers here, so you guys picked the right meeting.
And
Chief, just give it to us.
we were able to pull together. I should use different colors. Every house that has kids under the age of 13, they're out in the street every single day. They're in green, and then I was able to count how many kids are in each house. And in 110 homes, which does not include the woods of Bell Canyon that adjoins our neighborhood, we have 57 kids that I counted. Annie said I missed a few actually. With the two neighborhoods combined, we're pushing over probably close to 70 kids in two smaller neighborhoods. And over the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, we've seen an increase of drivers, delivery trucks, especially in the last 2 years. We would not be here if we had sidewalks. That would be our job to teach our kids to stay off the road. We try our best to keep the kids running through the yards. Some neighbors don't like that, but deal with it. And there's been conversations with the township about providing at a shared cost some radar speed signs. Now, if you go to the first page, I mapped out where those would be. They would be beneficial because if you come in off of Bell Canyon up Waverly Place, Waverly Place Drive. There's a good hill. People try getting some speed, and it's actually a blind curve up there
Yes,
as
it is.
well. So there would be one right in that area, and then when you turn left onto Foxcroft, going down the hill, pointing the opposite direction, there would be one there. We were talking to Silas, and he said that tentatively the township would be okay with paying for those two. We feel we would need a third one. I'm not asking for that. That would be at our own expense later on if we feel these first two were effective. There's the word.
Yeah.
This, I know that Silas said this is still with legal counsel.
Right, yeah, we're in the
And-
works on a policy.
Yes, but I still wanted to get up in front of you
Yeah, of
and
course.
explain, this is not just the boy who cried wolf. We are, it's terrifying. I ran down a FedEx truck and then got yelled at by the driver for even doing so. And that was just last weekend. It's terrifying, as you all know. And if we had sidewalks, we wouldn't be here. We would be teaching our kids other things. But this is also a two-way street. We are going to be putting out documentation to our homeowners that, some of them could be guilty of it as well.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
It's in my neighborhood. I'm
I
on
know.
Walkerwood Boulevard, so yes.
Yep. Oh, so
Just
I
as
feel
much.
bad. I go 18 in your neighborhood
Thank
every
you.
day.
I appreciate that.
Because
very much.
we have to go through there. Now I hope Del Kenyon opens up so I don't have to go through there.
Yeah.
Not talking about that here either. I forget what I was talking about. So we're going to be putting out documentation too to let them know that this is going on. But I've seen this be very effective, especially over on when you're going into Westerville, off Africa. I forget the name of the street off the top of my head. They've got them in there as well because it's cut through between Route 3 and Africa Road.
Oh, okay.
And it's very effective. It allows you to. Some people don't pay attention to how fast they're going until they come to a parked car or someone crossing the road without looking. This allows you to actually see, and people do slow down. Well, I live by the 80-20 rule. It'll fix 80% of the problem, I think.
Yeah, so Silas had actually sent me an email, which I didn't read all
Are you
the words.
Silas?
This is Silas.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Silas.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
So can you reiterate basically where we are in the process with this, just so
Yeah, absolutely.
We are
And
working on it, yeah.
I want to add some clarification as
Yeah.
well. We have had
Lots of
months
Yeah.
of conversations back and forth. For clarification, did not say the township would pay for these things. I filled them in on the
Yes.
the previous agreements that were in place
Right.
with previous boards regarding some of the shared costs of the digital speed limit signs. So at the current time, we have worked with the county prosecutor's office to review the previous agreements that were in place. I think the most recent one dates back to about 2019-ish, maybe 2018, where there was a share the cost implement involved with those. Since there hasn't been anything for a while, we reviewed that. The county prosecutor's office has made some recommendations. Those recommendations will then go to the board to discuss. And then my hope is that we'll get some guidance from the board, in which case then we come back to the HOAs. I think I have 4 HOAs right now that have some interest in some level of these different signs and different implements for speed control within their neighborhoods. And then we would work via the board. I would work with the HOAs in question and with our traffic engineer with the county engineer's office to figure out a sweet spot potentially.
sometimes what we think as residents, again, I'm on Walkerwood Boulevard, of the right location for them isn't what the engineer's office thinks of the right location. So
We
just
have
be
the
aware of
engineer's
that.
office now,
Okay, great.
and
So
the
they've
two
kind of blessed it.
locations are what they recommend.
Okay,
The
perfect.
2 green locations are. The
Gotcha.
purplish one was one that we were looking at adding ourselves.
Gotcha. And go ahead.
Has there been additional discussion about? I see some no outlet signs.
Oh, there's some extra stuff that I was communicating with the board as well. And then I communicated with Silas as well on some things. Like what could we do? Are we allowed to do this? And
Gotcha.
so there's a little bit of extra
Extra
information
detail.
on there that doesn't pertain to the speed signs.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I would say that, so what I've seen in my neighborhood is people do slow down when they see them, and then as soon as they're past, they, again.
Fortunately, I know.
Right. So,
There's usually a line of cars behind me.
right, I know. I like to go like 24, and sometimes my street, unfortunately, is wide, and so then you get some real ballsy people who like to pass.
And we also noticed once we started going down this road that we didn't have
any speed limit signs in our neighborhood outside of
Oh.
the initial
When you
one
first
at the
get
very
in.
entrance that's required. So I think the hope with these is kind of like two-sided, that we don't have any signs.
So
now
this
we have
this
some
incorporates a
signs.
sign. Would you
Yeah.
be getting, Silas, and this is probably a you question, the ones that are in my neighborhood show what you're going up till you hit like 29, and then I think at 30 or maybe 31 it just starts flashing. So you can't say, I don't see if someone's going 45, I just know they're over 30.
Correct. There's a setting within the units that will allow you to, essentially it shuts off if you're so far out of range of the
Okay.
posted speed limit. I don't know where that limit is. I know it's slightly adjustable. Usually once it's above 5 miles an hour is kind of the most common one that'll just go blank, because you'll get calls occasionally where
Because
it's not
sometimes
working.
people want to see how fast they're going? Is that why
Yeah,
they
you'll see
don't
some of
do
that. And that's one of the reasons they are disabled at that point.
Gotcha.
Our township liaison, Mr. Riedel, might have some more information on that as well. He's a pretty smart fellow.
I know, right?
Is that accurate, Doug?
That is accurate, yes.
And then
See,
they do
smart.
not have any recording features to them, right? So we don't know.
They record the speed, don't they?
There
But as far
are.
as like us going in and saying how many people were speeding, I
Yeah.
don't think there's any way that we can check that, is
Yeah.
there?
There are ways on the more advanced ones to extract the data within them. To my knowledge, we don't do any of that, as we're not traffic engineers. I don't know if the county has any of them throughout the rest of the county, but we don't within the township.
We do have some, if that's helpful to anyone, we have some data that we collected last year in partnership with the Delaware County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
They came out and put some of those like stealth speed monitors in a couple of the locations that we thought were problems. So we do have that data if that's helpful to anyone from that time period.
Your neighborhood's real curvy. My daughter's
It
friends
is,
live
yeah.
over there, so you think people would be driving slower.
And it's not very, your streets aren't
They're
that.
not super
They're
wide.
not wide, but we have Foxcroft is like the longest street, and
Yeah.
it's nowhere near as long as Walker Woods, but it people get some speed without a stop sign.
Yeah.
I appreciate it though.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for raising
Yeah.
this.
Feel free to leave or stay.
Yeah.
They're really exciting meetings here at Orange Township.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Okay.
If I may,
Oh, yeah.
Trustee Fowl, so I actually do have the information regarding Olentangy School District.
Great. Yeah.
So they currently have 56 mills. So they have 23 separate levies, 17 of which are subject to the 20 mil floor. But as I say, at 56 mills, it's going to be a long time before the tax reduction factor will bring it down to 20. And that's usually the issue with the larger school districts. They have multiple levies, so it's a long time before they would ever reach the 20 mil floor.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks. Okay. General announcements. Like
Do you have
six.
any other public?
Oh, yeah. Do we have another public comment? No. Do you have any announcements?
I do not. So
Okay, I
thank
have
you.
lots. First off, our Founders Festival was on Saturday, and it was the first one we've done, and it was phenomenal. The weather was perfect. We had lots of vendors. We had amazing turnout from residents and friends and guests of just people coming. We had food trucks, we had vendors, we had bounce houses. It was just amazing. So lots and lots and lots of hard work from our staff, from our volunteers. Want to specifically call out Sydney Herbert, our events and communications coordinator, for leading the charge. All of our staff were coming in on a Saturday and helping us out. Everyone that was able to be there. The fire department was there. It was a really, really great community-wide event, and we've heard pretty much nothing but positive comments from the community. So we were excited for that event going so well. The next thing that Orange Township is going to participate in, it's not our event, is we've been asked to participate in the Olentangy Orange High School. It's called a community pep rally and parade. It's their homecoming week. The parade is October 11th. I believe it's at 6 p.m. and it's within the Orange Middle and High School campus area. So if you want to get some more candy and come out for a parade, there's your next one. Trick or Treat is Tuesday, October 31st, and it will be from 6 to 8 p.m. again. So mark your calendars for that. We have something called the Route 23 Connect, right? Is a group where agencies throughout the county are trying to help figure out what needs to happen on 23, basically. And it's from Waldo down to the 270 line for the most part. So they are doing some public meetings. There are 2 different ones that are going to be here in November. So Wednesday, November 8th, at the Delaware County Fairgrounds. That day, there's one from 12 to 2, and then from 5 to 7 p.m. And then Tuesday, November 14th, that one will be here in the Township at the Nationwide Hotel and Conference Center in the North Carolina building, also from 12 to 2 and 5 to 7 p.m. So that's the opportunity for our community to come out, hear what the latest and greatest is, and to give public comment. So I know Trustee Ringel is going to be going to, I think, the November 14th one. I'm not sure if I'm able to make that one. I'm not.
And just to reiterate what Trustee Faust said, these public meetings are going to be held by the Ohio Department of Transportation. They are not township-sponsored events, but they do impact the township. So please show up to those meetings, hear what's being potentially planned, and provide your feedback so that the Ohio Department of Transportation can make the best decision.
Right. And that's because Route 23 is a statewide road. So that's the reason that they are leading this charge. And then the last one I have is that November 18th is the Make a Difference Day. And we had gotten information that you can sign up to volunteer for that. Lots of different ways we can volunteer throughout the community. Connectionsvolunteercenter.org, and there's a Get Connected button, and we can sign up through October 31st. So if that's something that you and or your family or your community group or whatever group of neighbors would be interested in getting involved in, that's the way you can help out and serve the community. Those are all my announcements. Does anybody else have any more?
The fire department's open house.
Open house. Chief, you want to give us the rundown?
Sorry. Yes, we're having an open house on October 15th. I believe the time is 1 to 4. The plan is to open both stations to the community, so station 362 and 361. So it's a little different than what you've seen before, where it's at just the one station. We're not going to have anyone else from any other organizations. It's just going to be come meet your firefighters, see the firehouse in your area, ask questions, look at trucks. We're going to have some fun kids activities and different things also that night, so or that day. So please come by anytime during that time, October 15th, 1 through 4. We're doing some demonstrations, and also we'll have some CPR mannequins set up for people who are interested in learning some CPR also.
Great. And I would encourage our community. I know we've done a lot of events at our Station 361, which is over close to Orange Pool. So if you've seen that one before, make sure you check out 362, which is at South Old State and Orange Road. That's our original fire station. So it's a good view, and we've got great staff at both, great trucks and apparatus at both as well. So thank you, Chief. Okay. That's it. Great. Okay. Do we have any questions on the consent agenda?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Agenda change. I have one agenda.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
change.
Agenda changes.
So under agenda changes in operations, I'll add a second item for recreational trail grant. That's for the Green Meadows path.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Consent agenda. Did you have any questions?
I did not.
Okay, I did not either. Great. Okay. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-255, approving the electronic record of the proceedings from the regular trustee meeting held on September 20th, 2003, and the special trustee meeting held on September 28th, 2023, and Resolution 23-256, approving purchase orders, then and now purchase orders, and blanket purchase orders as listed.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. Okay, our development and zoning report. Mr. Duffy. Oh, I want to welcome our newest member of our zoning committee. I maybe took your thunder by introducing team. Yes, Eric Gayetsky. Gayetsky.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay, today is Eric's first day, so we're excited he's with us.
Yes, welcome, Eric. Eric is our new senior zoning officer, so today is day one. He is hitting the ground running. We're excited to have him aboard. All right, for the zoning hearings and meetings report, we do have both Zoning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals meetings this month. For Zoning Commission, we do have a meeting on Tuesday, October 24th at 6:30 p.m. This is a continuation from the September 12th meeting for rezoning application ZON-23-03, also known as Orange Cove. They are requesting to rezone approximately 11.684 acres of land, currently zoned farm residential, to a single-family planned residential district to allow for the construction of 23 single-family residential homes. They are supposed to be revising their layout and resending that to us. I have not seen any details on that as of
We don't know when yet.
For the Board of Zoning Appeals, that meeting is Thursday, October 19th at 6 p.m. Here in this room. There are 2 variance applications on that agenda for that evening. One is a variance on River's Edge Drive for an area variance for a patio to encroach into the 35-foot rear yard setback. There is a second variance application for a property located at 444 Green Meadows Drive, also seeking an area variance for an accessory structure to encroach into the 35-foot rear yard setback, as well as the 12.5 side yard setback as well. And then the only other item is the still tabled conditional use application for a place of worship on Bale Canyon Road. I have no updates on that application.
Can that just be tabled indefinitely? Like,
Yes, there's no rule that says that it has to be pulled off the table within a certain period of time.
All right. Any zoning questions?
I do not have any.
All right. Operations, Mr. Bowers.
Thank you. 2 items on the operations agenda today, and I'm going to kind of go backwards here, if that's okay, Michelle. The first one is authorizing Michelle to accept the recreational trail grant between the County Board of Commissioners and to move forward with that agreement. This grant is a $40,000 grant that we applied for and received from the County Commissioners through the Recreational Trails Program, which will be applied towards the Green Meadows Trail connection that will be starting actually next week. So grateful for the County Commissioners. Just looking to recommend approval of that agreement. And the second thing is a recent project that's kind of come up with Shanahan Road, which is still a few years out, but working with the County Engineer's Office, some joint work between the County Engineers, Berlin Township, as well as Orange Township. The County Engineers put together a little bit of a roadmap for the project to be completed. And Chief Deputy Engineer Rob Riley can explain more about that to us. But the resolution will be for Michelle to work with the County Engineers to execute the agreement and to move forward.
Good afternoon. Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. I'm sure you know Doug Riedel, our Township Engineer. Happy to be here. Thank you for considering this agreement today. Just give you a very brief summary on the agreement. We're happy to be part of the team advancing this project. As you know, Shanahan Road is a township maintained road jointly maintained by Berlin and Orange Township on the township line. What we have laid out, we think, is hopefully a plan that would be feasible for both townships as well as the county to work jointly and cooperatively to upgrade that section of road. As you know, it's a pretty narrow section of road, lots of school traffic on that road, and certainly more residential traffic on the way with the abutting properties developing. So if you'd like, I can give you a quick presentation on the bullet points of the agreement. So in essence, what we are proposing is that the county would advance the project essentially as a county project with an agreement that each township would reimburse the county for a set amount that would be made in annual installments beginning in 2025 of $150,000 per year for 7 years. That would be your entire cost share for the project, and that would be a fixed amount. The county would agree to absorb any additional costs and also to seek cost participation from developing properties nearby as they have impacts on the road. We would also ask that both Berlin and Orange Township jointly apply for a Ohio Public Works grant. That would be for fiscal year 2026, so July of 2025. That application would be made the fall before that. We will certainly assist you with that application, get you all the necessary forms and estimates and so forth. By that time, we will have final plans done with an estimate. So we'll have more exact figures at that time. But currently, we're estimating construction costs at about $3.9 million. Inflation is incredibly difficult to predict. We know what's happened in the last few years. It's hit construction costs extremely hard, as with everything else, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for the best moving ahead. So with that, I do want to add, the county would agree then to basically take over Shanahan Road as well as section of Pyatt Road between Hollenbach and Shanahan, and then all of Hollenbach Road as county roads, and then those would be maintained in perpetuity by the county as county road. And so that's a similar arrangement that we've talked about in concept on other roads with other townships, including your township. Basically, trying to work together to bring the road up to a county road standard, and at that point, you get the system. So with that, happy to answer any questions you have, and just want to thank you again for your cooperation.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you and the engineer's office for your willing to partner with us on this and other projects. We greatly appreciate it.
Yep. This is something that we had some conversations with Silas and Michelle and Berlin and Rob and Doug and I and Tiffany, I think, as well, right? Earlier this year, and started this process. So thank you for getting it to this point. We're very excited. This is an even better resolution than that I had expected when we had initially met. So thank you in the township's perspective. So thank you for that. Thank you to the county commissioners for, we had to get them to agree to take that little bit of Pyatt to then connect all the roads so the snow plows can be contiguous, which makes sense. I get that. And so we're excited that you're even basically taking over the construction of the project as well. And that's not something that we as a township with our limited resources have to manage. So thank you. This is better than what we were hoping for. So we're very grateful.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I did want to add, we are currently maybe 20% of the way through the engineering phase. We have done all the field work, or most of the field work, developing the preliminary design for the project, and we're currently evaluating some of those alternatives for the most feasible way to build the road, the least cost and with the least impact to the adjacent properties. So still working through that, but we will have a project information page on our website, hopefully by maybe not the end of this year, but by early next year, once we have some actual exhibits we can share, and we'll certainly send you a link to that, and you're welcome to share that on your website as well.
Do you know when right-of-way acquisition will start?
Probably not until late 2024. We have, I would say, another solid year of engineering to get through to really hone in on the final right-of-way footprint. We'll have some idea what that final footprint is going to be, I would say, by late spring next year, and that's, we want to get some word out to the residents and offer an opportunity to have some of those conversations.
And then did I see the construction, the hope is that would be done the end of 26?
Correct.
Okay.
I would estimate break and ground probably late 2025, and it would take about a full construction season to build. So they traditionally start with the work, the utilities and the storm sewers and so forth, and then do the roadway once weather turns and you can get it.
But it will all be done in one chunk. But
It will.
The residents that are along there will just have to, we'll figure it out, and it'll be super excited when it's done. Right.
Yes, certainly. And one of the key considerations will be doing the project in such a way that we can maintain traffic to the residences as well as the school.
As a school, right.
Within the work zone. And so we are currently looking at maintenance traffic scheme that will potentially maintain one-way traffic through the work zone. Have some work to do yet before we have any deal on that, but we are conscious of that and want to make it as painless as humanly possible for the residents that are having for that construction phase.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming you're partnering with the schools as far as how
Sure.
they're going to get working with Jeff. Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Okay. Any other operations? Nope. All right. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-257, a resolution authorizing Michelle Bonney, Orange Township Administrator, to prepare and submit cooperative project agreement between Delaware County, Berlin Township, and Orange Township for improvements to Shanahan Road and to execute the agreement.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. right, I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-258, a resolution authorizing Michelle Bonney, Orange Township Administrator, to accept the recreational trail grant between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and to execute the agreement.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. And thank you to the commissioners for that grant. That is very helpful. I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, guys. Chief, we don't have anything for fire, right? Come to the open house. Okay. Mrs. Kraft, fiscal.
Okay, I just have one thing. I did get September balance, so you'll see the reports back there, and I'll give a public update on that next at the next meeting. But we did have our investment committee meeting back on September 20th, so I just wanted to provide a quick overview of what we discussed. We had Brian Carter from Fifth Third in-house to kind of review things with him also. He provided kind of an economic overview and an update on the interest rate market. We put in place about 2 years ago a strategy, because interest rates were so low, of just keeping everything very short duration. And we maximized commercial paper wherever we could. And now that's paying off. We have how much? 8 point some million. We have a lot of money coming due. Let me write that down. Like $8 million is coming. Is going to be coming due in the next 4 months, basically. So we'll be rolling that into $8.8 million. Will mature in the next 12 months. I'm sorry, which is 80% of our portfolio with them. So our plan is to ladder that out further. Now, even though we still have the inverted yield curve, it still is much better than. I look back at some of the rates that are just rolling off, and we were getting 0.03%, and now we're getting over 5%. So, and even better with our commercial paper. So, so now we're going to kind of ladder out some longer term investments. Not all of that. We use our Star Ohio money as more of our liquid operational funds, and this is kind of our overall contingency, or I hate rainy day fund, but this is our, we're in dire need and we need some money fund. So, so now we're just going to capitalize on those increased interest rates because, like I said, we did everything short term. Right now, our average duration is about 6 months, and our book yield is 4.541%, which a year ago it was 1.74%. So, so that's better. But we've started implementing that strategy, and we'll meet again in about 3 to 6 months to kind of reassess where we're at with current interest rates. Any questions?
Excellent.
No. Okay. Michelle, administrative report.
Yes, I just have one. I just have one item, and it was something that we brought up at the last meeting. But this is just to accept the donation from Liberty Signs for the Founders Day signage that they provided, which was very kind and at the value of $256 that we got for free.
So that was very helpful. So we definitely appreciate Liberty being a township partner and donating those signs to us.
That's all.
And it worked because people came.
Yes, it worked.
They are successful. Okay, I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-259, acknowledge and accept donation from Liberty Signs.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. Okay. Any old or new business? All right, meeting adjourned. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-260, meeting adjourned.
Second?
Mr. Ringel?